The following podcast is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Connect, Australia's newest choice for event management and brand development specialising in pro wrestling.
And now, the B Plus Wrestling Podcast. Watch global. Support local. It's the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The moves.
B plus.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in the B plus land. It is me, it is I, the one they call Mr. Mysterious, and welcome to the Impact Zone. We are on the road to Slammiversary. We are just mere weeks away, and I'm a little bit upset. I'm a little bit dejected, disappointed. Impact Wrestling have broken my heart this week. We'll touch on why, but we're still on the road to Slammiversary, ladies and gentlemen, and we are teetering. The road is rusty. Some people have gone off the train, and I shouldn't be surprised. Impact Wrestling makes you feel things for better or worse, and yeah, for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, I'll get this out of the way. It looks like they have taken away Killer Cross. Killer Cross looks like he's no longer a member of the Impact Wrestling roster. I could be wrong, but the way this episode of Impact Wrestling went, we'll see. We'll touch base on this again, but just to let you guys know, I'm a little bit down with this. Despite this episode of Impact Wrestling being surprisingly okay. It's actually a very solid episode of Impact Wrestling. Some funny decisions put throughout this entire ordeal. And I am looking forward to Slammiversary, which is happening July 7th. And you guys should be excited for what Impact Wrestling has in store for you guys. We have some more championship matches announced. We had a couple of championship matches in this taping for Impact Wrestling. So let's just get right into it. So despite my feelings, let's start with some positive notes. So we started this episode of Impact Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, with an intergender match. The undeniable one they called Tessa Blanchard went up against Jake Christ of OVE. Very highly anticipated match. Great back and forth intergender wrestling match. Exactly what intergender wrestling should be now that Scarlett Bordeaux is also no longer a member of Impact Wrestling. I'm getting on a tangent if I keep this up, but this was very great opening match. I'm glad that it wasn't your typical man overpowers woman until the last minute. The lady comes out on top, picks up the win, or a cheap victory, but this was a proper hard-hitting contest. From the moment that the bell rung, Tessa hit a cutter in the early going. She did 3 suicide dives in rapid succession. Tessa jumped off the top rope, but Jake cut her off with just a mid-air super kick. It was beautifully timed. Jake Christ, although he's a great high flyer, he was a very good base for Tessa Blanchard to just do a lot of more high-flying moves. I think she really got a chance to experiment more in this match with Jake Christ, and they got a chance to really go all out so we can feel comfortable in this intergender contest. I feel like this is going to be a frequent thing for Impact Wrestling moving forward, how they're gonna have the roster experiment with other things, which I'm all for. We need more promotions outwardly experimenting with intergender wrestling. I mean, the independent scene does it all the time. I don't know why more wrestling promotions don't do it. You can still have your men's division and women's division. You can still have that, and you can still have intergender wrestling. And this match proved it because it was fantastic. Jake remained in control for most of the match. He did a lot of submissions and rest holds. That he did a side Russian leg sweep and his power slam. Tessa did get momentum later on, but Jake put a stop to it by raking her eyes. He was every little dirty tactic. He's just this sniveling little lackey, and he was still hurting from the low blow and everything else from last week. Poor Jake. He tries his best. Jake did hit a Death Valley driver for a 2 count, but in the end, Tessa turned it around. Big Magnum off the top rope, 1, 2, 3, Tessa Blanchard picks up the victory over Jake Christ and gets one over OVE. We didn't go to a commercial break straight away. Like, the moment this match finished, the rest of OVE came out, Sami Callihan dragging Madman by his dreadlocks, and Dave Christ came out as well. Fortunately, Tessa got out of the ring in time before these guys got into their match, and she's just like saying to Sami Callihan, I'm ready for you, bring it on. So, teasing what could happen in a couple weeks, which we'll get to in a second. And straight away, we have had a very solid intergender wrestling match, and you would expect it to go straight to a commercial break, but nope. We're cutting to the next match, right for the jump. Eddie Edwards versus Madman Fulton. And commentary even said, forget going to commercial break, let's continue. And then 5 seconds later, we're cutting to commercial break. It was very weirdly timed. It's like the last minute decision, like, no, we're going to keep persevering, forget breaks in between matches for fans who are streaming and watching this on Impact Plus and Pursuit and everything else. And then someone higher up in Impact Wrestling and then in the speakers are just like, no, cut to commercial, you dingus. Like, very awkwardly timed. I didn't mind I loved the transition straight away from Madman, and they didn't have to go on to commentary and say, this match is happening right now. It just happened. It just happened naturally. Eddie Edwards and Madman Fulton, great contest. They're really trying to make Eddie Edwards seem like they're what Dean Ambrose should have been in WWE, what Jon Moxley should have been in WWE. They're making Eddie Edwards into that role a lot more as of late. And this was a strong contest, although I will say the fact that we got a whole bunch of suicide dives from Tessa in her match, it kind of dampened the spots that Eddie Edwards does, because he does rely on that quite a bit. Everyone gets a suicide dive. We're back to at least, I'm fine with it being like 1 or 2 wrestlers doing a suicide dive, but 2 matches, no break in between, both of them do suicide dives. It does dampen the enjoyment of it just somewhat, but nevertheless, Eddie jumped off the apron, but Madman caught him and hit a chokeslam on the hardest part of the ring on the side there. Fulton continued his beat down inside the ring. This was actually very good. Like, it was a very short contest, about 5-10 minutes. A lot of these matches were very, very short. They didn't really give the wrestlers a chance to get much momentum moving forward. But the big takeaway from this match is not so much the match itself, because like, you had Fulton distracting the referee and Callihan attacking Eddie from behind. Eddie did turn the tide later on with the Blue Thunder Bomb for a near fall. Like, he managed to get a few like sneak attacks on Madman, and he kind of liked it. He's just like, okay, I see how this is happening. And Eddie does grab the new Kenny that was gifted to him by the Sandman. And the big takeaway from this is, again, not the result, but on the Titantron, who should appear but Killer Cross? And it looks as though he's actually kidnapped Sandman. So it wasn't Sandman, for those of you wondering. You know how I can tell is because Sandman now has a big beer belly, and this person definitely did not have that. But yeah, Killer Cross is just saying like, oh, your friend's fine. He's got all the alcohol he can consume. He's having fun, and like, he's like got a mask over his head and everything else, and like he's probably gagged as well, saying like, what? You're thirsty? Well, okay. And he just casually waterboards this poor man. Like, oh dear. This was one of the most violent, you don't see this often in psychological warfare in wrestling storylines. I think this is the first waterboarding I've seen. And I love the fact that if you actually look at Killer Cross's attire, so I don't know if I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but Impact Wrestling have actually issued a mandate where none of their wrestlers can be wearing any wrestling gear or wrestling t-shirts that aren't advertised solely on Impact Wrestling's shop. Not Pro Wrestling Tees, not any other place. So they can only have their own merchandise off the Impact Wrestling shop. Killer Cross, you couldn't see it completely, but you could see enough of it. he was wearing a Brian Pillman shirt, a Brian Pillman Jr. shirt, and just like, huh, that's funny. Even Killer Cross actually acknowledged it. Like, don't mind the shirt. I'm just hydrating my good friend the Sandman, just making sure that he's all like, yeah, he's having a nice time backstage still. Yeah. And I love that I saw online Brian Pillman Jr. actually showed his support of Killer Cross, so that was sweet. But yeah, all this distraction. Sorry, back to the match. While Killer Cross is distracting Eddie Edwards with the fact that he's seemingly waterboarding his idol in the Sandman, you have Madman hits Eddie with a huge swinging slam off the distraction for the win. 1, 2, 3. Madman defeats Eddie Edwards, and yeah, like no muss, no fuss over here. Don't stick around too long. Sammy Callahan immediately drags Madman by his dreadlocks. I love that little storyline beat. The fact that he can control him just like that. It's just, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. Sammy Callahan is just a fun guy, and I need to appreciate him more now that he's no longer a part of MLW. Which, for those of you who don't know, go listen to my All the Rest episode from yesterday for that full rundown of what happened there. Backstage, everybody, we had Alicia. So Eddie Edwards is freaking out. He goes to the backstage area. He's trying to find where exactly Killer Cross has Sandman. And who shows up but his wife, Alicia. She has been away for months and months and months. And she's come at the best possible time. So she's warning Eddie Edwards that this is a trap. And Eddie's like, I don't care. He's just running around like, Sandman, Cross, where are you? And Alicia's just like, why do I put up with him? Like, why does she? Like, the reason she left, like, you had Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards. They were going to have this fledgling tag team. And Alicia's like, you know what? You're going to do this in spite of yourself. Like, peace out. I'm going home. She comes back. Eddie's still not listening to her. Like, what the hell? Like, why did she even bother? Ladies and gentlemen, like, you should not, like, she doesn't deserve that. Alicia, you deserve better. I'm telling you that right now. And clearly she's kind of caught the message later on in this episode of Impact Wrestling. Next, everybody, we have the new whole effing show, as he is calling himself now, Moose, taking on the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. Now, I like this whole, we're in the build-up to Moose against RVD, and I don't know if it's the way that, like, the way they shot Moose in his entrance, or if it's slowed down, but the way they shot his entrance to the ring, and Moose has actually got more of the green and the yellow to signify Rob Van Dam in his robes and in his ring attire, in his boots and stuff. He looked great. And just he seems to, like, when he is fully, like, mind on the mission, he looks like a badass. And yeah, from the get-go, this was just really fun. It is exactly what you think it is. Moose picked up the victory. So Tommy sent Moose crashing into the steel ring post with back body drop on the floor. Moose regained control with a slam on the apron. Like, Tommy did get a few licks in, to be fair. There's never a complete squash match when it comes to Tommy Dreamer. So both men trade a lot of shots in the corner. Moose played to the crowd a bit too much, but he's doing the RVD, like, thumbs to everybody, allowing Dreamer to get the better of him. Dreamer did his casual, like, spin in the face trick, did a cutter at one stage, hit a DDT for a 2 count. But yeah, Dreamer takes Moose off the top rope with a huge superplex, right? And Dreamer tried a little bit of psychological warfare. He actually hit his own spear onto Moose for a near fall. But yeah, Moose pulled the referee in front of him, so Tommy Dreamer started to get a little bit irritated and brought a steel chair to the ring. But yeah, Moose put the referee in front of him and just like, whoa, what's going on? And the moment when the ref was distracted, trying to get away from Tommy Dreamer being a complete imbecile, Dreamer, yeah, this allowed Moose to kick the chair into Dreamer's face. Spear, no jackhammer required. They're still saying that shit. 1, 2, 3. We have Moose picking up the victory. I just want to say, like, I remember when Greg and I were speculating at some point, like the fact that they kept saying no jackhammer required, and we're saying this is a thing on Goldberg and like maybe getting Goldberg out of retirement. If that's true, then they, after what happened at Super Showdown, they cannot keep saying that. If that was the goal, and they're just like, no, it's not going to happen. Moose versus Goldberg is not going to happen, especially after what went down. And they should probably stop. Like, maybe they should lean more into the RVD whole effing show thing and just slowly sweep that under the rug, ladies and gentlemen. Like, no jackhammer required. Personally, we should, yeah, let's forget about that one. Impact Wrestling, what do you say? Deal? Yeah. Impact Wrestling.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This month we are sponsored by Grapple, a fantastic new wrestling app available on iOS and Google Play completely for free, where you can rate all the matches that you watch in WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all across the world, and we are even getting Australian wrestling involved in the Grapple app rating system as well, starting with PWA Pro Wrestling Australia. Their Green Label event from the other week is up there. The Black Label event, All Eyes on Troy, is up there. And the last 2 years of events, at least, are up on Grapple right now for you to rate so that people can get around our Aussie wrestling and see that we are just as good as anywhere else in the world. Basically, Grapple is a Rotten Tomatoes for wrestling. Now we all get a say. It is the democratization of match rating systems for pro wrestling. It's amazing. So I get a say, you get a say. You can follow me on there at Greg Unchained. You can follow Big Boy Mikey at B+_Big Boy, at Mr. Mysterious is on there, at Danders is on there, at Jay is on there. We're all on there rating the matches that we watch. So follow us, we'll follow you back. Let's build this community and get as many Australian wrestling fans onto the Grapple app as we can. You can download it right now. It has over 30,000 matches on there going back to 1985, 15 promotions around the world. There's so much to do on the Grapple app. It's a great little community, so get around it. It's Grapple, GRAPPL.co, and it's for free on App Store and Google Play. Get around it. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OutbreakNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OutbreakNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout. Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B+ podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today.
So after the match here, with Moose picking up the victory over Tommy Dreamer, Moose wanted to send a message to RVD for their match at Slammiversary. He continued to attack Dreamer. He looked like he was going to do his own coast-to-coast on Dreamer, which I would have been very surprised. I feel like he can pull it off. He's a big, tall boy, and I feel like he could just reach to the other side of the ring. But RVD made the save, forcing Moose to retreat. So they actually made Moose look really strong in this, like I hope they would. We were only like a week or so away from Slammiversary, so there's not a whole lot of time to make Moose seem like this really insurmountable threat to RVD, and the more that you make him seem like a big powerhouse than an idiot, it goes a long way. He has those idiotic moments in the ring, during his matches, that's fine. But so long as after the matches, before the matches, he is stern, he is calculating, he is ready, I'm all for it. So I approve, ladies and gentlemen, and with the way that Impact Wrestling is going as of late, I can probably see him maybe facing the Sandman to tick another ECW original off the list. Maybe he'll take on Sabu by himself. I don't know. Something like that is going to be happening. But we'll see what happens here. Backstage, Taya Valkyrie is trying to make a deal with Rosemary. She goes to the deepest, darkest corners of the locker room, which seem to summon Rosemary. It's just like, this has to be her place. And Johnny Bravo is just like, what makes you say that? And it's like she's saying all this stuff like, well, it's dirty and it's icky and it's disgusting and ew. She's saying all that, but really the real reason we can say that it's Rosemary's place is because there's freaking purple smoke. Who else has purple smoke? Not the smoke show. Hers is just white. Hers is just straight up white smoke. But that's how you can tell, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, Rosemary is summoned with who just materializes out of nowhere, and Taya is attempting to make a deal with Rosemary because she has her Impact Knockouts title match against Su Yung, and she's saying if she helps take out Havoc and Su Yung, she'll give Rosemary a title shot. Where have we heard that before? Shades of her husband. Offering, you get a title shot. You get a title shot. Everybody gets title shots, ladies and gentlemen. And Rosemary's just like, the demons will assess your offer. There was something like, the demons will look at the cards that have been laid. Something to that effect. And Taya's like, I don't speak demon. And she's just like, fair point. My people will call your people. It was very, very nice comedic timing there. I approve of Rosemary. And Taya, very good segment there. Really appreciated it. So Rosemary is assessing her options, but she can't assess too long. So Taya is right in the swing of things. So the very next contest, you have Taya Valkyrie against Su Yung, accompanied by Father James Mitchell and Havoc for the Knockouts Championship. Taya, despite being terrified, she was in control for most of this match. In the early going, she was hitting a bunch of double knees. Taya was playing to the crowd, so you've got two heels here. It's a very hard line to ride when you have two heels facing off against each other, and no one really wants to cheer Su Yung because there is no character that she is portraying aside from Undead Bride, no talking, lackey to Father James Mitchell. Fair enough, and obviously there's far more to her. But yeah, it was a very confusing, okay, who do we go for? Well, clearly not Taya, and go for Sue, but she's just Sue's just being this weird, acolyte of Father James Mitchell, and it's just it was a very confusing time to watch this match. I was just I'll just see what happens here. But yeah, Taya was playing to the crowd, allowed Sue to counter and send Taya into the corner turnbuckles. Sue hit a modified Hurricanrana for a 2 count. She did a lot of great offense. She did, she usually a very technically based wrestler. She doesn't really do much high flying things. So I was really surprised that she pulled out a couple of stuff like that. The blade glove did come into play. Sue did put it on. Taya turned around before she can use it though, hit a curb stomp. Now remember last week, ladies and gentlemen, so Father James Mitchell outwardly said his goal is to make Havoc the next Knockouts champion. And then all of a sudden, this match happened with Su Yung. And you're like, how is it going to play out? So after the curb stomp, Taya climbed to the top of the ring and Havoc just casually attacked her in front of the referee, causing the DQ. It's no fuss, no no Taya attacking Havoc to incite her to do it. Havoc's just nah, screw this. Push, all part of the plan. disqualification. And Su Yung was like trying to be upset, but trying to still be this undead lackey. And it's just like a lot of open mouth, like just like a goldfish, just like like poor Sue. Like, it's a team effort here. She should be able to get the next title shot. She could have she could have gifted it to Havoc. You know, there was no reason for Havoc to do this, and it does not make Havoc look like a monster that can't be. It makes it look like that she can't be controlled, but it just makes her seem really stupid. Very, very bizarre decision. The match should have happened in the first place, and even if it did, it could have just been non-title. That would have been fine. But the fact that it was a championship match, and Father James Mitchell was so dead set on making Havoc, like he could have just said last week, one of his disciples, one of them, you know, could have been that. But it hurts your brain, logic, impacts. I don't know. Try to forget. Let's move on. After the match Sue clearly was not happy, but she instructed her as well as Havoc to attack Taya in retaliation. But just as they're about to, Rosemary made the save. And I every week with Father James Mitchell, exposition, like, you've come out to save the day, as always. His delivery is just, it's something else. You can only watch it to describe it truly. But Father James Mitchell announces that Taya, Su Yung, Rosemary, and Havoc are cordially invited to a special event of his own design, a special ball, if you will. That's right, July 7th at Slammiversary for the Knockouts Championship, we will have a Fatal 4-Way Monsters Ball. And this got the biggest pop of the entire episode. Everyone, like, the Monsters Ball is a beloved staple of TNA Impact Wrestling. And I was really happy to hear it. I popped hearing the news. At the same time, I was a bit sad because I realized this is the first Monsters Ball match without Abyss. And then I just my heart kind of went, ah, because I think of all the Monster Ball matches, there's been nearly 50, I think, off the top of my head. A couple of house shows have done Monster Ball matches as well, but of those 50, a good 45, 46 of them have had Abyss in them, right? There's only been a handful, less than one handful of Monster Ball matches without the involvement of Abyss. And I was just like, I miss Abyss. But he's clearly doing better things backstage in his producer role with WWE. He's looking after himself. He's deserved it after several years of service with Impact Wrestling. But I am excited. I thought that I wasn't sure exactly how we would transition from the Knockouts title picture to the Undead Realm stuff, and we've kind of merged it all now. And yeah, I did not see it coming. The Monsters Ball, I'm excited, very much looking forward to it. So, for those of you who don't know what the Monsters Ball match is, I apologize for being tongue-tied. It's just pretty much a street fight. It's just a simple street fight. But back in the day, if you know your history with TNA wrestling, the premise of it was that, I shit you not, so the contenders were sequestered alone in a locker room without light, food, or water for 24 hours before the match. The stipulation was intended to induce extreme feelings of aggression in the competitors, which, fair enough. And yeah, once the wrestlers were released, they would fight one-on-one in a no DQ match. Of course, yeah, with the uses of weapons highly encouraged. And yeah, after a while, they kind of phased that out. And yeah, now it's just a no DQ street fight with a lot of hardcore elements. I'm hoping, can they still use Janice? I know that Abyss is no longer involved in this, but I feel like at some point, maybe Rosemary can pull out Janice as like a nice homage to Abyss. Maybe that's just me being a bit melancholy. But yeah, they are one of the best parts. They are one of the best matches that Impact Wrestling has ever devised, and I am very excited that we are going back to their roots with this. Very much looking forward to that. The next match we have is Ace Austin. So he comes to the ring. He reminds everybody that he's the only person in Impact Wrestling who has never been pinned. And I'm just like, yeah. Yeah, he's just been... It's been very subtle. It's been very quiet. And the commentary, they've been not really brought it up. And just like, I'm pretty sure there was like a multi-man match in there somewhere where he didn't pick up the pinfall. So it's not a true undefeated streak, but no undefeated streak is ever completely true. Like, there's always some murky bits there that they still try and say it's undefeated, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, he's saying he's never been pinned. Ace declares that he's coming after the X Division title, right? He's saying he's transcended the X Division. Like, although you can bet your bottom dollar that he's definitely going to be trying to get the X Division Championship, even though he's saying he's transcended it all. Like, there's no way in hell he's going to be a World Championship contender just yet. But yeah, he's daring someone to stop him. Somebody stop me! Who comes out? The former X Division champion, the former WWE Cruiserweight champion, TJP, TJ Perkins is back in Impact Wrestling to answer this challenge. I knew this a few weeks ago, of course, with the tapings, like it was leaked that he appeared. Still excited to see him in action. I was very excited to see what this match would go for, and I mentioned as well, like, all of these matches, they only went for about 5-10 minutes. Very uncanny for Impact Wrestling. Usually some of them go a bit longer. I think the main went a little bit longer than all the rest of them, but yeah, a lot of these matches, while I did enjoy them, they never really gave the wrestlers a chance to really get going. Which is strange because you want everything to be focused, like, kicked into that high gear for everyone just clawing at the bit for Slammiversary, and it ain't happening. I enjoyed myself throughout this entire episode, even though my heart is broken for the other news that I got. But yeah, very bizarre. So right into this match, the action was fast and furious right from the get-go. TJP on the attack. I forgot how innovative his offense is. If you watched him in the Cruiserweight Classic, and like before he got the whole gamer gimmick and everything else, and like WWE really did him dirty in their attempts. And he actually released an interview where he talked about the creative process in WWE, saying that it can be completely soulless sometimes. So yet another WWE alumni saying how bad the creative process can be and the challenges that the wrestlers currently on the roster face there. That's neither here nor there, ladies and gentlemen, because in this match, though, TJP, in very convincing fashion, Ace attempted a top row hurricanrana, but TJP countered into a midair powerbomb. TJP hit a huge crossbody, followed by a modified GTS to win just like that. Just 5 minutes before Ace Austin, I've never been pinned. TJP comes out. I've pinned you. That's like the gall of them. Just like, you make a big deal about this undefeated streak. You have a returning wrestler. You've invested all this time in Ace Austin to make him seem like he has transcended the X Division. And boom, in 5 minutes, he's just been defeated. There goes that undefeated streak. I feel like this is going to be a match at Slammiversary. So Ace Austin next week is going to be seething, going to attack TJP from behind at some point. It makes sense to me, and I'm hoping that this, for Slammiversary, that it's a number one contendership for the X Division title. That would be great. TJP versus Ace Austin, and then the winner of that faces off against the winner of Johnny Impact and Rich Swann. Yeah, a very clever bit of booking there. I'm still scratching my head over the fact that I haven't been pinned ever. He gets pinned. But yeah, what can you do? Impact Wrestling, just the highs, the lows, the questions. Some of them aren't really answered. Some of them you can't you can't ponder on them too much, but overall, you have fun. We have an episode of the Rascals in the treehouse, and Conan just casually comes in, like, and I was kind of hoping for a shades of last week, like, how'd you get in? Like, there's no security, man. I just walk right in. Like, I'm doing the exact same thing you did last week. I was hoping for something like that. Didn't happen. Um, you have Trey. He's just like he's a bit jumpy, and everyone's just like, what's going on? I'm training my eyes so we never get blindsided like that again. It was very, very clever, very good timing there. But yeah, Conan tells the Rascals that they disrespected LAX by walking into the clubhouse and starting trouble. Warns them if they don't change their ways, their match with LAX is going to be a massacre. Ooh. And then just he starts speaking in Spanish, which freaks out the Rascals, which, okay. Like, Spanish is clearly such a terrifying language, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand it, but they're a bit jittery being in the clubhouse, like in the treehouse. What can you do? Eddie Edwards. So we've had a couple segments throughout this entire night. Eddie Edwards have been looking for Killer Cross and for Sandman. In this final segment, he finally finds the closet where Killer Cross was waterboarding this person who looked like Sandman, and it's just some other guy who is tied up, and just like, where is, like, and Eddie Edwards not even checking, like, are you okay? Like, why are you tied to the chair? What happened? Just like, where's Cross? I don't know. Okay. Like, you have a man tied to the chair, Eddie Edwards. You should actually be attending to him right away. Like, how insensitive. Like, that's very mean of you. But yeah, the moment he comes out of the storage closet there, Killer Cross blindsides him. It was a trap. If only someone had warned him. And yeah, it revealed Cross never abducted Sandman at all. I'm shocked by this unforeseen turn of events. Eddie and Cross brawl in the hallway, and Alicia just materializes out of nowhere. It's like, how did she get there? She attempts to stop Eddie once again, but like, so Eddie has battered down Killer Cross. With the camera has panned away from him. Alicia's there, and I love how they did this. If this is truly the send-off to Killer Cross, the way they shot this, I feel like he had something to do with this. I don't think this was an Impact Wrestling decision, Impact Creative, although if it was, whoever did it, beautiful. But what happened was, so she's telling him, like, this isn't you. Eddie is just like, is delirious. He's like, this is me. This is who I've always been. Like, I'm a killer. I'm a monster and all this stuff. And Alicia's just like being the good angel on his shoulder, like the way they've shot it. Just like, no, this isn't you. Please stop. And then you hear Killer Cross. It pans to the left. And Killer Cross, blood coming out of his mouth, just says, more. Give me more. And like the angel and the devil, what's Eddie gonna do? He starts beating up Killer Cross some more. And it looks like he flat out ate him. Like he started biting him, and then we cut away. He's got blood all over his face. They make it seem like he either bit his ear off or bit a chunk of his face off. It was like very like, oh, like we went there, ladies and gentlemen. Alicia's just like puts her hands over her mouth, like, oh, I don't even know who you are anymore, and she just runs off. And yep, Eddie's made his choice, and now he, like, and just before we finish the segment, he starts putting his boot on Killer Cross for one final blow. It looks like he killed him off. It looks like it. I don't know. I hope not. We are just weeks from Slammiversary. We could have had a big match at Slammiversary. Killer Cross versus Eddie Edwards. Big hardcore match culminating right here. It was right there. And now, like, the Impact Wrestling have pissed off Killer Cross. Like, I hope this isn't the end. If it is, man, the Killer Cross was my. For those of you who heard all the rest yesterday, I tried to keep it brief there, but we're in the Impact Zone now, and I can just say, like, he has been my favorite part of Impact Wrestling throughout my entire time that I've come back to watch Impact. and they've just flicked him aside. And you've heard all these stories, like, at first you hear the rumors that he requested his release, then he's saying that the rumors were false, then he admitted they were true, but Impact Wrestling haven't done anything, right? And, like, you hear the story about how apparently Impact Wrestling told him to get a second job rather than agree to giving him a pay rise based on his market value in the indie wrestling scene, which is big because he's an absolute monster in Mexico and he can do all these matches in America. Whoever is in charge of Impact Creative and part of the Impact Talent Relations, if there's someone from, like, the TNA days that is still there, like, what are they doing? Like, the Impact has always been a revolving door, but at some point they need to realize who are the real, like, breakout shining stars on their roster, right? You've got, like, LAX, their contracts are soon set to expire, so they're going to have to really focus on keeping the tag team champions in Impact Wrestling, like, because people are going to be knocking on their door, like, real quick if they don't do something. They were scrambling to re-sign Jordan Grace because they have lots of plans for her in the future, like, for good reason. Thick Mama Pump is no joke, and, like, Killer Cross is your big monster. The monster just lurking in the wings, ready to take on Brian Cage. His shirts were literally called the Anti-Machine, the super villain. Every hero needs a good villain. That was Killer Cross. And no one does psychological warfare better than him. Like, he is a valuable asset to any promotion. It doesn't matter if it would be WWE, doesn't matter if it would be All Elite Wrestling, like Ring of Honor. It does not matter. MLW, that's me dreaming there. But we had that video not too long ago of him challenging Jon Moxley to a match somewhere. We don't know where, for what promotion. God, I hope it's All Elite Wrestling. With the news that last week Scarlett Bordeaux is no longer, she fulfilled her obligation, so her and her partner Killer Cross, like, the Killer Smoke Show, is gone from Impact Wrestling. Like, I could be wrong though. So at the moment, it looks like they're alluding to Killer Cross has left. Like, it looks like they've killed him off. It's not been confirmed yet. If you look on Impact Wrestling's website, he's still listed as an active member of the roster. He's not been moved to the alumni section yet, right? So there is still some wiggle room here for maybe, like, a couple more weeks and then a great match at Summerversary, maybe, possibly. But if Scarlett's gone, pretty much Killer Cross might not be far behind, and I'm just sad, man. Like, Impact Wrestling, you've done me dirty here. He was going to be, like, your big monster world champion. He was right there. It reminds me of when AJ Styles, you hear the stories how he was a loyalist to TNA for the longest time from the get-go, and he's like, I need a pay rise because I just need to show, like, I just need to be rewarded for my loyalty because New Japan are knocking on my door. I could be a part of this breakout team called the Bullet Club and become a IWGP heavyweight champion, right? I won't do any of that if you give me a pay rise. And they told him, we can pay you less. And he's just like, screw it. He left. Like, Impact are not in the position to play hardball with their talent. The revolving door of wrestlers should be an indicator of just, like, you guys should be bending over backwards to keep your talent happy and content and, like, I don't want to say locked in because it sounds like they're forcing them to be a part of the promotion, but, like, keep them, like, actively wanting to stay with you and show that you have plans for them. And I'm just disappointed. If this was the way to go, Killer Cross actually being murdered is a very fitting end for him. And what they do next with Eddie Edwards, it would give Eddie something to do, like a more sadistic side to him. Maybe instead of Killer Cross, they'll throw him in a match with Badman Fulton. I could see it happening. It would be very, like, flung together at a moment's notice, but that, and if you look on Impact Wrestling's website, when they showed that video, Killer Cross has actually replied to it and just said simply, "That's all, folks." He's put the Looney Tunes gif on there, like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I am in a glass cage of emotion. Yeah. If you want to console me, you can check on all my socials and just check in on me, because I'll be fine in a couple of days, I swear. But I apologize for my tangent, but we'll get right back into the swing of things here. So the next segment we had on the over-ear camera, Sami Callihan cut to just a simple promo, like very subtle. Like, he doesn't do the classic everything. He doesn't do any of that. He's just like, I'm going to keep my voice quiet and monotone and calm. And he's saying, like, Tessa Blanchard, I see what you've done to Jake. And you know what? Equal opportunity. It's 2019. I'm going to face you against you in a match. You want me to treat you like an equal? I'm going to treat you like an equal. And this is a very good match. I am very much looking forward to what they do here. Like, doesn't matter who wins. Like, usually in intergender wrestling, like, more often than not, you have, like, the lady win. But in this match, Sami Callihan can pull out a classic with anybody, right? Like, his match with Mance Warner and MLW definitely proved that. Win, lose, or draw, Tessa Blanchard is going to look undeniable, and she's just going to be like, and I feel like it's going to be like a nice little shake hands moment. It's not going to be a full-on massacre by Sami Callihan. I don't see that happening. It'll be a big, hard-hitting contest. I don't know if it will be over-ear rules. Like, I can't see Sami Callihan really going all out with Tessa like that. I can't imagine her in that hardcore setting. They could, but I don't know how much they want to test the waters there with intergender wrestling just yet. I don't know. If they do, they're very ballsy of them. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. And we ended, ladies and gentlemen, big triple threat non-title match. Rich Swann versus Michael Elgin versus Johnny Impact. After the great main event that Pursuit completely dropped the ball on and didn't release, I still hold up as a match of the year candidate. We now add to the mix Johnny Impact. And this was all that I wanted from this match and more. I had so much fun with this, and I love the fact. So Johnny Impact for the longest time, he's been trying to align himself with Michael Elgin. They played this beat too many times. Does not work. Michael Elgin wants nothing from Impact. And he's just like, he keeps saying that he's a meathead and a dummy. He still tries to partner with him and everything else. I like the fact that Johnny is letting Michael Elgin and Rich Swann just kill each other, or he's picking the bones of these two fighting, or he'll scout what Michael Elgin's doing, because he's showing that if he thinks that Michael Elgin's truly a dummy, then he should be able to counter all of his moves. And substantially, Johnny Impact was doing really, really well in this entire match. He came off looking really clever, and just like, even without Johnny Impact, like, surprisingly, Johnny Bravo. Surprisingly, without the help of Johnny Bravo, he is just like mopping the floor with Rich Swann and Michael Elgin for a lot of the time, until Elgin did, like, power it up and just took him out for a little bit. But this match never stopped, never missed a beat. I still prefer Elgin and Rich Swann, that match on its own. This is a great follow-up to that. Just like, both Swann and Johnny flew over the top rope, taking turns crashing into Elgin on the floor. Elgin connected with like a double German suplex. That was poetry in motion. Swann took Impact off the top rope with a big Hurricanrana. He just casually, I don't know how many feet in the air, just like casually did a Hurricanrana off the top rope without even jumping onto the turnbuckles. Like, everything, all these spots in these matches, three of the best wrestlers in their craft. It was so much fun. like again, it's still not quite at that same. It's not quite beating out the singles match that Elgin and Swan had, but it's at that same level, and it was just so much fun. Right, so what happened? So in the last few minutes of the match, Elgin put Swan on his shoulders. Impact followed up with a springboard kick into Swan, but he countered and hit Elgin with a Hurricanrana. Impact attempted a Starship Pain, but Elgin rolled out of the way. Impact hit Elgin with the Spanish Fly, and then the moment that he did that, Swan immediately hit Impact with the 450 to win the match. 1, 2, 3. Rich Swann is the winner of this contest. I'm just like, after my emotions have been messed with so much with Scarlett leaving and Killer Cross potentially being killed off, we ended this episode on a high and exactly what I wanted from Impact Wrestling. Just a very... They always deliver in the main events, ladies and gentlemen, for better or worse. Despite what you think about the whole episode, they always deliver. And after the match, we weren't done. So Elgin attempted to take out Swan. He wants to still try and put people in the hospital. He reversed it with a kick and ended up taking out both Elgin and Impact. Swan's standing tall when Johnny Bravo hits him in the gut with the Red X. They actually used the Red X as a weapon, which I love. We haven't seen that done yet for a while. And it looks like Elgin and Impact are ready to just mop the floor with Swan out of revenge when all of a sudden, the Machine is back. Brian Cage music hit, and he just clears the ring of Impact and Bravo. And then finally, Elgin just delivers a huge powerbomb. The Machine is back, finally, and like this times out really well. So for those of you who don't know, he's been cleared for a while, right? This times out perfectly because he has been in here in Australia for World Series Wrestling. He is now one half of the World Series Wrestling Tag Team Champions alongside Flip Gordon, the Flippin' Machines. And Impact Wrestling have been holding out on having him come back. Like he was apparently meant to appear in the Casino Battle Royal at All Elite Wrestling, but Impact Wrestling actually said, no, like you can't come out there yet. We're still playing that you're fully injured, because he was injured for a while. He did take some time off, and they did it. They set up really well, where they said before the main event, they had the saying, next week we will update you all on Brian Cage's medical condition. And then out of nowhere, he comes out and like, yes. I love the graphics now. He's got the world title in his graphics. It's got the Terminator rising from the ashes. Like, love it. Love it, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Cage is back. Like, we lose one monster, we get one back. The Machine, Brian Cage. I am all for this. We only have another week or so of Impact Wrestling before we get to Slammiversary. We have, of course, Bash at the Brewery in San Antonio, Texas, July 5th. You'll have Deep Impact at Booker T's World Gym Arena, July 6th. And then, of course, Slammiversary, July 7th in Dallas, Texas. Going to be 3 big events. Of course, the first 2 are only on Impact Plus. So if you aren't a member of Impact Plus, you should subscribe and check it out, ladies and gentlemen. And that was Impact Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Highs and lows. Man, we are the road is rusty. We're teetering, but when all is said and done, I am very much looking forward to what's happening. And I will talk about some little technical glitches that Impact Wrestling has done. So I didn't mention this last week, but I'm going to mention it here. So in the graphics for the matches at Slammiversary, and above all the matches, it said Impact World Championship for everything. So apparently, RVD and Moose are fighting for the Impact World title. You have LAX and the Rascals fighting for the Impact World title. You have Johnny Impact and Rich Swann competing for the Impact World title. It was a stupid thing. Like, I thought they would have fixed it last week. They didn't, so I'm calling them out now. Like, it was a very stupid thing for them to do. But yeah, hopefully they realize their mistakes going forward. We have a few little they've announced a few more matches for next week. You have the Rascals facing off against LAX. Like, it's going to be a 3-on-3 match. So the Rascals have enlisted the help of the Laredo Kid. Perfectly timed Of course, Laredo Kid is a former Impact wrestler, but perfectly timed with the announcement that he's going to be appearing for Fyter Fest. So you'll be seeing Laredo Kid in action like twice next week. I'm very much looking forward. It will give the audiences a reminder just how good the AAA World Cruiserweight Champion truly is. You're going to see the North take on the Dinas next week. You're going to have Knockouts tag team action, Taya and Rosemary facing off against Young and Havoc. And this one, I'm very much looking forward to. Sami Callihan in a rematch against Falaba. I'm very curious to see what will happen now that he no longer has Scarlett by his side. Maybe she's had one more taped appearance with him, but Fala, give in to your hatred. Embrace the dark side, my young apprentice. It is good. Your anger gives you power. Please, I want to see a great match with that big panda. I love him. That was Impact Wrestling this week, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to follow me on all the socials, I'm at Mr. Mysterious with a 1 instead of an I. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Hit me up. Please console me about the loss of Killer Cross. I need someone to talk to about this. If you want to follow us collectively here at the B+, because we're an alright bunch, if I do say so myself, we are at the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit, and the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Remember, guys, we have our Patreon. Any amount you can donate would be greatly appreciated so we can keep giving you all what you want, when you want, showcasing the very best of Australian wrestling and keeping you up to date on all the goss going around the world in the wacky, weird world that we call professional wrestling. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. I've been Mr. Mysterious with the Impact Zone, and I'll see you later.